That's my secret, cat. I'm always angry.
Alright. I ran out of patience. On the roost!
Hey everyone, Captain, big fan of Spider-Man.
Avengers! Assemble. Hello, Peter.
Hello and welcome to the Infinity Saga and Beyond, an MCU fan podcast where we are talking She-Hulk. Weekly recaps here, and I'm Jordan Wiegand, and with me today is Casey McGeorge.
How's it going, everybody?
It is going pretty well. How is everything on your end?
Not too bad, relaxing, getting ready for another football Sunday.
Yes, we always record these Sundays right before kickoff, really. So we'll have some fun, and then I don't know. I feel like with your vibe of what you thought of this episode, which without giving too much away, I'm thinking this might be a shorter recap. Though I think that every time, and then we end up going an hour and a half to 2 hours anyway. But we are talking She-Hulk, Attorney at Law, Episode 5, Mean, Green, and Straight Poured into These Jeans, written by Dana Schwartz, directed by Anu Valia, aired September 15th, 2022 on Disney+. And the synopsis reads, She-Hulk discovers Titania owns the name She-Hulk and is suing her for trademark infringement. What was your initial thoughts, Casey?
It was okay. To me, this was probably the weakest episode in the series so far. If you could call it weak. I mean, it's still good, but it was just kind of more of meh. There was a couple things I really didn't make sense to me in a way. A couple things and people that just plopped in that kind of came from out of nowhere that I just didn't get. But other than that, it was okay, I guess. What about you?
I enjoyed this one. I would say it's probably, I think the weakest episode is episode 1, actually. The more I think back to episode 1, I don't have an urge to revisit that one the way I do like 2 through 5 so far. So, I don't know. I think this is probably maybe second to last, if we're ranking them right now. But I really enjoyed this episode. Look, it's very easy to entertain me because as soon as they changed the title sequence to be She-Hulk by Titania again, like they did with some of these other episodes, I was like, all right, I'm already in love with this episode.
Yeah, that was good. I'm not going to lie. Yeah. That was a good touch there.
Yeah, that, sometimes it's all it really takes for me to really fall in love with the show. But I like that we got more Titania in this episode. I think one sold me on it too is just the fact that she had to humiliate herself with bringing in the old dates. We were just talking last week if we were ever going to see these people again, and they come right in here in this episode and take the stand, showing that she had done a dating profile using the name She-Hulk. So I was very happy with kind of bringing these back. And I kind of like the approach the show is taking of being kind of one-off episodes, lightly strung together at this point. I saw some people complaining that we don't have a big bad. I think this is fine. I love the sitcom approach of just kind of taking it one thing at a time. And I think we might still get an overall big bad of like what she's dealing with, right? We still don't know who tried to get her blood. I think these episodes, since we have 9 of them, just being able to check in on some of these things and have a nice little side adventure with her, I'm blanking on the friend's name again, which is terrible. But having her friend and having Pug, go, Nikki, there we go. Nikki and Pug go on their own adventure to get her some new clothes and stuff. That's the kind of stuff I've really been enjoying a lot with the show, and all the Avengers and the Avengers and all that kind of stuff. You're on mute, Casey.
We will get back to Nikki and Pug.
Yes, yeah. So I guess we can kind of take it plot by plot here. Let's start with the trademark plot line. We'll start with the A line here and talk She-Hulk. She got her serving last episode, right? She immediately this week I attributed a scene from the trailer into last week's episode now with the her saying, why does Doctor Strange and Thor not have to worry about this? And, the other lawyer says this is, you name two of the people that only use their real names. So I thought that was a lot of fun too. And it's Mallory Book is the name of the other lawyer. She's been in a couple of the episodes and kind of been antagonistic with her, and now they're kind of becoming friends during this plot line.
I guess I did some quick searching after that. I guess she's major. I don't know, but she's a character in the comics apparently. That's always worked there. They've always had some sort of antagonistic relationship working with each other, and eventually she becomes She-Hulk's boss at some point in the comics. But yeah, I like the character. I like the idea of not everybody you work with is really going to like you, because not everybody you work with is gonna like you, right? Like you're not gonna like everybody you have to work with yourself. I like the boss who she gets called into the office and he's just kind of sitting there quietly and it's he's talking about he's seeing a billboard on Sunset Boulevard with She-Hulk booty blast serum or something. Yeah. The courtroom sketches in the end was great because it kind of showed him using the She-Hulk booty blast serum or whatever it was. And ultimately he's like, look, I don't care. I hired you basically because you're She-Hulk. I can't have the name being sullied and used to hawk some garbage merchandise, right? I also like the fact that Book put her foot down and was like, here's the deal. She at first she's like, I'm glad you didn't think to try and represent yourself, which she was going to until the boss put a stop to it. She laid it out for her basically like, hey, look, I'm in charge. This is my case. We are not coworkers. We are not colleagues during this. You are the client. Which under those circumstances might have been the right thing to do, because otherwise, granted, she needs to have ideas how she's going to defend herself and everything, but otherwise, with her being a lawyer, she's going to want to, she's not going to be able to take a step back and look at it from a different perspective and try and think of the best way to defend everything. She's entirely too close to the case because she's literally involved in it. So I enjoyed that. What I thought was weird, one of the things that bothered me, who was this random dude who just walked into her apartment with a bunch of stuff that she was supposed to sign?
Oh, that was her cousin from the from earlier, from the first episode.
Okay. How did that part could have been cut to me. Like it didn't, because I didn't recognize who he was. I can't even remember if she said his name. She probably did. I might have missed it. But it was just some random guy that busts into her apartment talking about she needs to sign a bunch of stuff. And I'm like, who is this? What are you doing here? And so apparently he works for Titania or something, or is he trying to hawk some?
Yes, I think
merchandise?
he was buying merchandise to because he was trying to support her because it said She-Hulk, and then he was trying to get her to sign it because they're related, and he would be able to make money off of it. That's what he was trying to do.
Oh, okay, I mean, I'll admit maybe I just didn't pay attention to that family dinner enough, or I just didn't recognize him. But that was one of those things. It was like this part really doesn't tie it. It makes no.
Mm-hmm.
The only sense it made was it got her to the point to where she got frustrated enough that she wanted to pursue more action with it.
Right.
Other than that, to me, it was just, I don't want to say a waste of a scene, but it was just one of those like, what are we doing here? Like, what is this?
See, I was fine with it. It kind of recalled back to, for me, like just having like that wacky family member in a sitcom. I don't know. Like for me, I think that was just kind of like a scene has to move stuff forward at times. So for me, I was fine with that because I don't know. I feel like we miss a lot of that stuff going forward now. Like when we watch Superstore, there'd be some scenes that were just fun, right? Like not everything pushing forward. But now when shows only get like 8 episodes, it's like always moving at a breakneck pace at this point.
I think the biggest thing was the 2 episodes were separated by too much. She had the family dinner in episode 2. And this was episode 5. And like there hadn't been any mention of him. Like he hadn't been involved. There hadn't been any mention of him. It was just, it was too far away. And like I said, I didn't recognize who he was.
Yeah, I mean, this will probably play better on like a rewatch binge type thing.
If you binge it, maybe, but at the same time, like I said, it's just maybe had he at least popped up once or twice since then, to at least kind of make sure you recognize him, or that would be one thing. But it was just, like I said, to me, it was just some random guy, and I just couldn't remember where I placed him. But I very well could be in the minority on that, and I'll acknowledge that.
Ched, that's his name. I had to look that up. Okay. Yes. So we had that scene. We get let's see, Mallory Book is the attorney for her. Yes, we've talked about that. Okay, so then they had the first part of the hearing, right, where she is kind of, they play the news clip of is that in the first one or is that in the second one? Where it's in the first one, right? Where they play the first news clips of her coming out and her being like, I don't think that was ever aired. I think that was just a news clip that would have been recorded of her coming out of a courthouse, but I don't think that ever aired in the show. Right. Yeah, maybe not. I don't know. I think I might have to go back. I think in episode 2, when she's going in and out, she might have been saying some of that. Or it may not have been that exact one, but like I think she's been saying that to some of the newscast people. And that was that looked like her coming out of an actual courthouse. So like I said, I don't think that was the Blonsky stuff, yeah. Yeah, I don't think that one was actually shown at all to us. But the some of the other clips, we had seen where, and look, we've all known that she hasn't. It took her a while to embrace the name. At least us in the audience, we know it took her a while to embrace the name. She didn't like it. She didn't want it. She didn't want to be known as She-Hulk. But we also did see the scene where, she acknowledged like, hey, some guy came up with it. Whether I like it or not, I'm going to be stuck with this. So, which is what we saw, right? Like that was at the end of that one or something. Yeah, because I think that one was after the Blonsky verdict. Yes, yeah. So, and that was a repeat of that scene. I like that. I like tying that back to it of like, okay, why did they show us? Like, my question, I think, in episode 3 was, why did they bother to show us that scene when they're like, oh, we have, She-Hulk on here, and she just quickly says something like, oh, that's who I am now. And it was like, all right, well, after this, we, she's coming back to talk about her favorite foods or whatever, right? Like to cook, and you're like, okay, that was kind of like a weird, like quick scene to have, but it pays off here, and I appreciate that they brought that back. And then so then Mallory Book is like, we actually have the judge is like, well, that's only one time, right? So prove to us that she's done this more times than just the one time. And they're like, we can absolutely do that. And they had no idea how they were going to do that. And at one point, Jen is sitting with her friend and Nikki.
They're having lunch, and Nikki brings up her dating thing, and that's when it hits her. Like,
hey, I went as She-Hulk.
And I think she realized. I think even Nikki asked, like, "Are you really willing to do that?" Mm-hmm. But she also said, like, "What choice do I have right now? Like, I have to. That's probably my only and best opportunity to prove that, this is my name." So, the fact that she was willing to put her dating life in front of a judge and the public like that, and kind of go to lengths to embarrass herself, you definitely feel for her in that situation.
Yeah, they she's been through a lot already in these 5 episodes of putting herself out there, kind of getting rejected at the end of last week with the guy that we're going to see get brought up again here. And she's like you said, this is my only chance to really kind of clear this. I've gotten used to using the name She-Hulk. I want to continue to be able to use it. It's my name. Titania is profiting off of it. Let's get this cleared up. And so they bring in all of these ex-boyfriends or not boyfriends, really ex-dates. And one of them is that guy who called her a specimen earlier. So him coming back in and having a prominent role is making me a little suspicious, Casey. Getting a little suspicious of this guy.
Yeah, because wasn't that the same guy they saw in the law firm earlier?
Yes. Yep.
I
forget what he was doing there.
He was there for some sort of work, I guess. He was
he's a client, right?
Yeah, he's a client of some sort. So, we might find out later. I don't know, but there was that awkward moment, where she just kind of smiles and they have some small chit chat or whatever, and sure, we'll get drinks or something at some point, and she, they kind of go on about her way, but I think as tough as it was to see as well, at least hearing the guy that walked out on her at least admit that, no, I wouldn't have been interested. I wasn't interested in Jen. I was only interested in She-Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
Now that definitely kind of had to hurt, but like I said, everyone has a different flavor.
Right.
Some people like vanilla, some like chocolate, some like cookies and cream or mint chocolate chip. Find the flavor that works for you, I guess.
We had kind of like that nice heartfelt moment. I don't know if I'd say heartfelt, but he's definitely kind of letting her down. He has to do it in front of everybody here, and she has to kind of take it again. But the judge rules in her favor, and they go back to celebrate, and Jen's still wearing her very goofy looking suit as she's a human now, right? And looks like she's a kid playing dress up, and says that they're kind of becoming friendly with each other, and they have a nice little chat and they have a drink together before going their own way again.
But before that, a good moment between Mallory and She-Hulk when they're walking out, where I think Mallory gives her some advice, and she's like, "Look, you deserve better in general. Like, you need to do better with yourself." And I mean, whether she likes it or not, Jessica's in the public eye. She-Hulk's in the public eye. Both of her personas, characters, are going to be in the public eye. And the unfortunate thing is, she kind of has to live and play by a different set of rules. She's going to have to think about everything that she does because, anything that she does in the wrong way either puts She-Hulk in a bad light or can cause the very nice job that she has, her boss, to look at things differently and like, hey, this is not what we're paying you for, right? And that is a realistic part of life for a lot of people. It's unfortunate. It seems like she wouldn't have a lot of leeway for mistakes that the average person is going to make, right? But that's part of life of being a superhuman, I guess.
Yeah, her boss is kind of funny, Mr. Holloway, right? He is like when he's like staring out in space and he's just like, I want to know why I saw this billboard, and then she starts explaining. He's like, I don't really care.
Yeah, I don't care about all that. And I mean that's true. He's like, I don't like the
like,
why. I don't care. Yeah, it needs to be fixed. Which. I've been in that situation, where I've had people working for me, and it's like they start giving you some random excuses or things, and you're like, that means nothing to me. Like, how do we fix this? Like, how do we get past this issue? So
right. And that is mostly Jen's story in this, right?
Pretty much.
She does go and get her outfit, but we'll collide that with the.
She does talk about, I'm glad we're becoming friends, and then there's an awkward moment where maybe they both realize that, like, she probably went a little too far. They're not necessarily becoming friends. Maybe they're just becoming a little less antagonistic with each other at the moment. Which is fine. Sometimes you just, you have people at work. Some days, you might find something to laugh or joke over, and some days you might look at each other sideways and just.
This is what I would call an acquaintance right now, right?
Yeah, you just kind of go on about your business. I don't foresee them going out having drinks at the Legalese every night, but don't necessarily have to.
It's a first step, though. It is a first step of, like you said, if they can stop being antagonistic to each other, maybe that opens up a pathway eventually of. Building off of that, a foundation. Okay, so then we have. Let's get to the B plot, which I thought was very fun with Nikki and Pug, and their plan, right, is to get her a superhero outfit, but also
before that,
yeah.
So. This is also kind of something I had a little issue with. So, we've seen Pug before, right? Briefly in one episode, had a little more to do in the Blonsky episode, where he defended the guy with the light elf. He didn't really show any personality in either of those, right? He just seemed kind of like a straight-laced dude. Now, granted, maybe that was just because they didn't get a chance to see him. Like, we didn't see very much of him. But his personality change in this one just seemed a little off to me. Not in the way, like, I think it wasn't Pug or something like that. Like, this is probably the real Pug. But they just, because they hadn't shown that portion of his personality, that he was a little wacky, that he was a sneakerhead, that, it threw me off, and I was like, this doesn't seem like the guy we've seen before. Like I said, I don't think it's anything nefarious. I don't think it's anything like, a Skrull is impersonating Pug or anything like that. I think it's just like, okay, they tried to show more of Pug's personality, and it just caught me weird. Like we haven't seen this portion of him before.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he's too different. I mean, he's probably a little bit more outgoing, right? He's definitely definitely I like that we learned that he likes sneakers, right? We saw the thing for the Iron Man 3s on the computer when she's searching for a job. That was one of the things on an ad for that. So it's kind of like, like Michael Jordan shoes type thing. And they go in here and he says they have a contact and they go into this is it like a deli or like a smoothie shop type thing? Boba Cafe, yes. And they're able to get back where this guy thinks like the merch they're looking for is some knockoff Avengers merch here, which has like a cap shield linear type knockoff as well. And I'm trying to find what. So sides of the things was Avengers, right?
Yeah,
you
they
got
just
like
basically changed the vowels.
Yes, a Captain America.
Avengers.
Captain America with like a blue star on his head with like a eagle on the side. You got a purple Hulk, Hawkeye with like a weird talon shaped, like a claw shaped arrow. Thor with a shovel, Iron Man, reverse color scheme, and Black Widow being a black scorpion. They also had Avengers, which is one of the ones where it has like the same look of the characters. What's really cool too is that they got the guy who makes all of their emojis. Like when you're on Twitter and you do the hashtag emoji She-Hulk and stuff, and it comes up with that picture next to She-Hulk's name. They got the guy who makes those to make these, which is cool. So Hulk's name is actually like HOLK on the knockoff boxers. Thor's is THUR. Then you have Black Scorpion. Captain, I'm not sure what a Captain America says here. It says Captain still, but I'm trying to
It's
read
probably like
some
America or something.
Yeah, probably something like that. And then Iron Man says Iron. I'm not sure. Iron. I can't read it. It's like so small font. Iron Person, maybe? I think it says person. I think it literally just said person there. I'm trying to like zoom in on some of this stuff while I'm looking. And Captain. Yeah, it's hard to read. But yeah, they'll have their different names so that way they can get around the trademark issue. So I guess that seals the deal that some of these people are trademarked, right? If they have to do these knockoff things, She-Hulk's really the only one that had that problem at this point.
Yeah, Tony Stark and his various companies and his attorneys probably took care of that stuff very, very early in the process.
Oh, and Hawkeye is Hawk Guy on this.
He probably took a lot of that stuff very early in the process, like we talked about last week or the week before. So
yeah,
I not that the subplot, not that the B plot was bad, but this is where I had my issues where I looked at a lot of it and I was just like, So, they don't want to buy any of this stuff. They're trying to. Apparently, there's some guy who makes suits for superhumans. And this is where I was like, okay, what is going on here? Because obviously a lot of, like Thor stuff is from Asgard. That's his own personal stuff, right?
Yeah.
Tony Stark was making a lot of stuff for the rest of them. His dad made the original with vibranium, the shield, right? The shield, the vibranium comes from Wakanda. Tony obviously makes his own armor and his stuff from War Machine. He was deeply involved in the updated and newer stuff for Spider-Man. I'm sure he was making stuff for Hawkeye and Black Widow, because they kind of needed to have some stuff made and probably bulletproof and various things. So I guess maybe your lesser superheroes and villains are needing stuff, right? But this is where I just like I kind of go down my weird rabbit hole, and I'm like, wait a minute, stop. So you're telling me that like the superheroes and super villains are going to the same dude to make stuff for him? Okay, no,
At least in
no,
LA heroes.
no, they're not. At some point, one of them is going to find out that he's making stuff for the other one, and if it's a superhuman, he's going to force him to stop in some way, shape, or form. If it's a super villain, he's probably going to end up putting trackers, force him to put trackers and stuff in it, or he's going to kill it. Like, so for me, like, that's just not connecting. I know this is a TV show. It's not real. I get it. Well, that's just not connecting. Like, no, you can't play, like, even the people who, like, sell weapons to both sides aren't really known that they're selling weapons to both sides, like in the real world. These arms dealers and stuff, and people who fund both sides of war, except for, like, one or two people. But, that just fell apart for me. Like, really? He's selling stuff. I know they made a little knock at the Batman nipples, where this dude was in front of a black costume with nipples on it. There's an Easter egg for a character later, and when I saw that, I'm like, really? So this dude lives in New York, the home of fashion in the entire country. He's not gonna have a guy out there who's gonna make stuff for him. He's gonna travel to some
Well, he usually
random
does.
dude.
Well, I think it's going to be more of a he's in LA for whatever reason, needs an upgraded suit, needs a new suit, and gets this guy to make it for him.
Not buying it.
Why?
Plus,
What is so breaking about that?
okay, so when you start having these business ventures with people and things, right? They do get very competitive. They're not going to want you to go to anybody else, right?
Yeah,
So,
but the guy in New York that makes it isn't like that type of guy. Like if they're going based off the Daredevil show from Netflix, that guy did it for him as like a favor and stuff. It wasn't like a business.
It's New York City. There's probably somebody better at it than this dude in LA. And that's around the corner. The dude lives in Hell's Kitchen. He's got all 5 boroughs right there. Right? He's within an hour of just about every place you can go in New York City by subway. So, I mean, he's got to travel all the way to LA to get some random dude to make his costume. I don't think that's what he's doing. I think he's in LA, doesn't have his suit, and needs a suit. That's my thought. Why didn't he bring his suit with him?
That I don't know. I mean,
if
also,
that is the case, why didn't he bring it with him?
Yeah, if we're basing it off of... Here's the thing, too. I haven't seen season 3 of Daredevil, but from what I know is that Bullseye took his suit, acted as Daredevil, and it kind of ruined his reputation a bit. So he's probably going for a new color scheme. He might just now be getting a new suit. Yeah, I don't know. We'll find out, I'm sure.
Those suits are also form-fitting, so Bullseye is the exact same size as Daredevil?
It wasn't form-fitting. It was like, they're close to the same size.
They're pretty much form-fitting. Like, a lot of those superhuman and superhero suits are pretty,
Yeah, but it's not like a Spider-Man suit. I mean, he's got like pads in there. They're not like,
which makes it
like
even
armor.
worse. Which kind of makes it even more difficult to fit around somebody else.
Yeah. I don't know. I haven't seen season 3 of Daredevil, but maybe that guy had it made himself to match Daredevil's, or he stole it. I'm not sure.
And then there's this random guy, right? I don't know if anybody has listened to any of our other podcasts, right? But I just got Mateo. I got thoughts on Mateo. So he's just very cocky, and he's just... I don't know if people who are fashion designers in that world are that way, right? Where they're very arrogant and cocky and are just dismissive of things. Maybe there are people like that who are very big in the fashion world. I know nothing about that world, so I could be way off on this, right? I don't know. I really got turned off where I think it was Jen was like, oh, or someone was like, I like this. And he's like, of course you do. I'm a genius. That's when I was like, nope, I don't like this guy, right? Like, no, that's just way too much. And I was just like, no, like, this is, like I said, this was a good episode, but these are the things that I just had issues with. And I know it could just be me. And I'm willing to
I think it
that.
is. I think,
like,
I love this character. I thought he was a lot of fun.
Character. I don't like the fact that, you know, this dude is making a suit for Daredevil when Daredevil's literally all the way across the country and can have better merchandise and better stuff made for him in New York City.
You have no idea why, though.
That's closer.
I'm sure it'll be explained when he has to go pick it up or whatever. I'm sure there will be some sort of explanation on why he had to have it made in L.A.
I won't be able to buy it. It won't make any sense to me. I'm just putting my foot down now. Like, have you ever had a situation where you just... you listen to somebody talk and you're just like, I don't care what you say from this point forward. Like, I don't want to hear anything else you have to say. However, Daredevil gets the suit. That's how I feel about it. Like, okay, you've just ruined that for me. Like, I just, whatever. Not you, but, you know, just whatever.
I don't know why it's so reality breaking for you. That's what I find so funny.
I don't know. It just, and then like I said, it just, the fact that he's making stuff for heroes and villains and random things, I'm just like, no.
Yeah, well, here's my thing. With that, I think he's making it for a lot of C-listers here. I don't think he's working with a lot of people that are going to strong arm him here. I don't think he's working with a lot of...
Even if you're a C-list villain or... Okay, even if you're a C-list villain or superhero, right? The same rules are still going to apply. At some point, you're going to find... Like, okay, when the whole Daredevil costume thing came out, right? And he's like... He yells at some other dude, like, don't you care about, confidentiality? And that's how we see it. And he puts it in his little box. And honestly, he puts it in a box like he's going to send it off. So that even more doesn't make any sense. Daredevil's getting his stuff through FedEx or UPS?
I don't think he's sending it off. I think he's putting a lid on it, so, again, for confidentiality. And it's going to be set aside for him to come pick it up. With this guy, there's showmanship stuff here, Casey. He wants it looking beautiful, even the package.
I don't like the dude. I'm not saying there's anything against the dude, the character. You're right. For whatever reason, that's the one thing that just breaks me, and I'm like, I just can't get past this. And I know we're going to probably have to see this guy at least once more.
Oh, I hope he's in every episode.
Because we haven't seen whatever it is that he gave to Jen. To She-Hulk
I'm assuming the spandex. That's what I'm thinking, right?
But I don't know. I can't say why. You're right. I just can't get past this dude and that whole thing, and that was just breaking and ruining for me. I don't know. And like I said,
I thought he was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed his character.
As soon as that comment came out where he's like, yeah, I'm a genius. I was like, okay, that's it. You've reached Mateo levels, and I'm done with you. He
reminds me of Edna Mode from The Incredibles. That's who he reminds me of.
And apparently that was done on purpose. And apparently, and Edna was based on a real character. Not a real character. I'm sorry, a real person. I think she was called Edna.
Like a fashion person.
That she did a lot of stuff for studios. So the school I went to, it's called the New York Film Academy out here in there. It took photography, right? Mm-hmm. And we, so you could put in, we could get access to like Universal's lots to do some things for film projects or student projects and things. We could also use, and I believe it was called Head, the prop warehouse, right? And we had a student discount on it. Now, I don't know how accurate the story is that they told us. It's a good story to tell incoming students. But apparently, they say you find something in there you want, bam, you get it for like 5 days or whatever. Like you have to bring it back because it has to be cleaned, repaired, whatever done to it, because someone else is going to use it. So apparently, the word that they told us was that we almost lost access to it at some point because while they were filming, somebody grabbed a couple things out of there that they were supposed to bring back on a certain date and time. They never did. And apparently that held up filming one of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies for a period of a couple of days. That cost some money because they had to stop filming for a couple of days.
Oh, I'm sure.
And, obviously Jerry Bruckheimer Productions was not very happy. Disney was not very happy with that, right? And that almost cost the school to not be able to use access to it. Now, once again, that might not even be a true story, right? That could just be something, kind of like you tell kids, like, hey, do this and bad things will happen, right?
Right.
So it may not be accurate. It may not be true in any way, and I get that. But it's a good story to tell, But yeah, I couldn't get behind. Like I could get behind having to jump through a bunch of hoops to find this stuff that's in the back of a boba shop that I'm surprised there wasn't an actual password, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like to me to me it seemed like there probably would be some sort of password or saying or something that you would have to say to this dude at the front of the boba shop to get you to allow you to come in the back.
Cops, yeah.
Right? So I don't know. That seemed a little odd, but I mean,
yeah.
Okay, whatever. And then they go back there. There's a big blast-proof door and a camera and things. Which, okay, I get it. You need security, especially if you're dealing in superhuman, supervillain stuff, right? Which dude's got to be getting paid a grip because if he's got something in downtown LA, like this stuff is not cheap. And he's probably got to have several locations in downtown LA because it go in front of the boba shop or whatever, and then it go in the back, and then it opens up or goes underground, right? So once again, stuff is not cheap. He's gonna have to be getting paid quite a bit of money from both sides. Which, like I said, if you're taking money from both sides, one of those sides is gonna find out, and it's gonna cease from there. So I just can't.
Or maybe it's a plot line later. You don't know. I don't know. Anything else about episode 5? We're more than halfway through now.
So once again, I did my Easter egg hunt after the episode came out, right? We talked about the Daredevil thing. You brought up the Avengers and Avengers and things. And
I wish we would have got Avengers with like Wongers in there. That would have been really nice.
So apparently, the trademark issue that Titania files was based on real life, right? So back in the 70s when the $6 Million Man came out, right? Mm-hmm. And it was a big hit. Lee Majors was doing stuff and and all that other stuff. I know that was a horrible sound effect, but that was the first thing that popped in my head. Couldn't help it. Whoever owned the $6 Billion Man didn't really put the work behind the trademarks and things. So that's how they came out with the Bionic Woman.
Oh, okay.
Right? So when they started making the Incredible Hulk TV show, and you got Lou Ferrigno and her sad walking away man at some point, right? Mm-hmm. Marvel was like, wait a minute. Either they heard rumors or they knew, like, if we don't do something with this, there could be other Hulk spinoffs that we have no control over, that someone could have their way with. So that was eventually, basically what I read was that's how and why She-Hulk came to play in the first place. Because it had already happened with the $6 Billion Man and a Bionic Woman. So, not an unreasonable jump. Well, what if someone does a She-Hulk thing? Right?
Yeah.
So, that's not cool. We need to jump on that real quick. And just like I talked about it last week or the week before, when the internet started getting big and Arnold Schwarzenegger started buying up all the websites of common misspellings of his name to lead back to him, it was pretty much the same thing, where they're like, if we don't jump on this now, we could lose out. And, we might not have a case to go. So that's how and why She-Hulk apparently was made.
Makes sense, I guess. Yeah, I guess because you would think Hulk would be trademarked no matter what, that you wouldn't be able to do She-Hulk. But you're right. If there's a loophole or something, they could have really had some trouble there.
If you change stuff just enough, maybe. And then at the same time, I don't know the exact details, but there was some, I don't want to say issues, but there was something between Hulk Hogan and Marvel back in the day as well. Because he used the name Hulk. Let me... no. He had to pay royalties for 20 years, apparently.
Jeez.
According to Cinema Blend. I'm reading an article on Cinema Blend. Yeah. Okay, so in the 80s, obviously, there was a bunch of regional stuff. You know, they were called territories back in the day. Vince McMahon buys up everything. Hogan was with WWWF, which was run by Vince's father. He left. He went to the AWA, which was a regional territory in the Minnesota area. Became a big star. Then he went back to WWF at the time. So he started using Hulk in the 70s, apparently. Marvel, when it was still regional, Marvel didn't really care because even other wrestling promotions didn't know what was going on with other things because you didn't necessarily, like, sometimes people would jump region to region and people wouldn't know. Mm-hmm. When it says when Hogan started in Rocky 3, and then became WWF champ when he beats Iron Sheik in Madison Square Garden. He was billed as the Incredible Hulk Hogan for a long time. And Marvel was like, hey, wait a minute. I guess it says at one point the execs contacted WWF to let them know there was a problem. July of 1984, Marvel, WWF, and Hulk Hogan came to an agreement. They could use Hogan, and WWF could use Hulk Hogan, but not the Incredible Hulk Hogan, which now this makes sense. He was then, after that, billed as the Immortal Hulk Hogan, then just changed to Hulk Hogan. There was an actual document. Marvel received $100 for every wrestling match appeared in for 20 years, beginning on July 9th, 1984. Additionally, all Hulk Hogan merchandise, which there was a ton of, which had to be tagged with the label of Hulk Hogan as a trademark of the Marvel Comics Group, licensed exclusively to Titan Sports, which at one point was the parent company of WWF.
I also was reading that he wouldn't be allowed to dress for green.
Yeah, so he stuck
That's
with
funny.
red and yellow. Apparently Marvel made a comic book where Hulk Hogan faces off the Incredible Hulk in a wrestling match. And the Incredible Hulk actually won.
It says it tosses him through an arena roof by the Incredible Hulk because he picked the wrong name.
Apparently, this also led to at one point when Hogan went to WCW. He eventually, when he was still Hulk Hogan for a while, and then eventually when he turned heel and went to be a bad guy, he started getting billed as Hollywood Hogan, which could have something to do with maybe trying to skimp on some royalties there, but not skimp on it, but not having to pay as much.
Yeah.
Especially WCW was owned by Turner at the time, and they weren't world champ. WCW wasn't a separate wrestling entity. They were owned by Turner, so all the legal aspects and everything they had to do had to go through Turner Legal. So it could be said that Turner Legal probably had something to do in there where, like, hey, I know this agreement follows Hogan, but if we stop being billed as Hulk Hogan, maybe we don't have to pay as much money. So when he joined the NWO eventually and started going to black and white, a lot of his stuff started going by Hollywood. Now I don't know if he still had to pay, but there's a chance he might not have it. Might not have had to.
Interesting. That's our wrestling correspondent, Casey McGeorge there.
Now look, so what did you think of this dude, and what kind of costume or whatever do you think we will see with She-Hulk?
I think it's going to be something similar to what she wears in the comics, which is like a spandexy, dark gray, full unitard type thing that'll be able to stretch with her. And I'm assuming something similar will be made for her but as like a suit made out of the same material, so that way she doesn't have to keep looking like a little girl playing dress up when she's in her suit as Jen. Those are the two things I'm thinking. I think the thing that he's like, here, try this on, is like, hey, I made this little extra for you in case if you do any superhero stuff, because she was very clear she's just a lawyer. But I think he made her a little something special that is this. Let me see if I can find a picture of it to explain it a little better.
Shouldn't there be some sort of purple in there?
Yeah, that's what I say. Like, it's like usually white or gray with purple, and it looks like. Where is it?
And apparently, Titania did give her the warning that this is far from over. So hopefully, we will see Titania again. Ah, okay.
I'm expecting something like that.
I'd say maybe like what you just shown. For listeners, he did a screen share. Maybe something like that, but Marvel has kind of, rightfully so, maybe unsexified might be the best.
Yeah, no,
word.
it'll be a little bit more practical.
Yeah. I know that's a word I literally just made up. I don't know if it's a real word or not, but yeah. Especially as people are definitely getting horny over She-Hulk. I don't foresee something like that.
So this is her more recent stuff. This is what I was looking for. This is her more recent stuff.
Okay, kind of like some bike shorts and a compression shirt.
Yeah,
sewn together.
That'll stretch with her. It'll keep her shape, keep with her or whatever.
Just no capes.
No capes. Dead in the mode. Yep. No capes. And the She-Hulk special too. No capes for Jen Walters. Okay.
Although I will say Doctor Strange can get away with a cape. I'll allow that.
Yeah, his is a cloak. All right. It's got he does a lot of, it's a magical thing. All right, I guess that about wraps us up. Anything else before we get out of here?
Dude is
Episode 6 will be coming soon. What'd you say?
Dude is reaching Mateo level.
Okay. If you want to follow us or reach out to us, you can email us marvelplusrecaps@gmail.com. Hit us up on Twitter at TO Infinity Saga, Facebook.com/Infinity Saga Beyond. And there you go. Rate and review us on Apple or Spotify. And I hope everyone has a great rest of their week. And we'll be talking episode 6 next time, which maybe has Daredevil, or if maybe that's a few episodes away still. We don't know. But
we only got 4 left, so they're running out of time, I guess.
The rumors were episode 8, but I don't know. With the helmet at the end of this one, I feel like it's more of a maybe
sooner
now,
than we think.
Yeah, I think it might be 6 or 7. Alrighty. Well, thanks for listening. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll catch you next time.